Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Secretary, everyone, I appreciate you being here. It's probably to Madam Secretary or to MD is my guess, this question. So my question is, it's my understanding that the state already has an electric transit bus purchase mandate that was actually already slated to begin. Last year in the governor's budget, we rolled back the timeline to 2027 to start that mandate. It's in this year's budget. There's a proposed date to roll it back even further to 2032, so pushing it back a couple more years. My question is, if as a state, if we're having difficulty meeting timelines like that, those purchase mandates of electric buses in this case, heavy vehicles, if we're having those kind of difficulties as a state, how do we expect the industry to meet the advanced clean truck rules that have different timelines, 2027 implementation? So I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on that. Are we kind of doing something as a state that we're not expecting the industry to do as well?
I'm going to turn that question over to you, but I will say this. The reason why that law was extended in terms of buying the buses is more about cost. It's very, very expensive to go from a diesel bus to an electric one. I mean, you can talk about the cost, but it's like $200,000 plus. And so the school systems simply do not have that kind of money. So that's a different issue. In my opinion, when we're talking about complying with ACT and complying with ACC2, they're totally different issues. But please.
And the cost is a major driver, but I'd also say the market is a challenge. But it's a unique market, and I can't speak to the clean trucks, but I think the clean trucks market is a little bit more expansive and broad and growing. The bus market requires federal compliance on Buy America and other types of manufacturing requirements. And as of the last couple of months, there were only 2 manufacturers in the country that could meet those requirements. And therefore, as we as a state are trying to purchase a bunch of buses, WMATA down the road is trying to purchase a bunch of buses, as well as our peers throughout the country, demand far outstrips capacity. And so to make sure that we can meet the demand that we have for our riders, to make sure that they've got a bus that can pick them up reliably and get them to their destination, we've determined that the market isn't there today on the bus side. Cost is also a factor. We're going to go ahead and max out our infrastructure capacity with zero-emission buses with the next annual bus buy that's going to BPW shortly. After that, we're going to be looking at a couple $100 million of infrastructure enhancements to be able to charge the fleet. It is our expectation and want that we will continue to grow our zero-emission bus program as the market ramps up and as dollars become available. But as you know, our budget is somewhat constrained, and we are prioritizing safety, reliability, and system preservation, especially within MTA's budget, and trying to bring it back to a state of good repair. So that's a little bit of some of the larger elements within that. And I'd just say, the bus industry, because of the federal requirements of Buy America and other provisions, is kind of a unique sector within this space. And I might not correlate it directly over to the manufacturer side of light duty and medium and heavy duty, but that's where we're at right now on the zero emission bus front. I'll also say, we are delaying our implementation, as is WMATA, just down the street, and others throughout the country, in terms of our delivery of the zero emission bus transition strategy.
And I could, add one more point. The state's transit bus requirements rapidly escalated to effectively 100% of purchases being electric. So even though they're being delayed, there are still significant shares that are electric. The advanced clean trucks sales requirements never get to 100%. They top out for the heavy vehicle classes at 40% in the 2030s. So even with the state's transit bus shares being pushed back due to budget challenges, there's still the clean trucks regulations phase in very slowly as well. So it may end up being the case that the state's transit bus purchase shares are still beyond what the clean trucks regulation would require for commercial vehicles anyways.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a follow-up to that question. I have several large trucking companies inside of my district, and obviously I know we were talking about buses here, but I know that the cost is significantly different for heavy electric trucks than it is for the traditional diesel or carbon fleet. So I'm just again, you've all mentioned cost here. Do those market forces, are they somehow different for the private sector than they are, say, for the public sector with respect to buses? I mean, these companies have to make a budget too, right? They have to, pay their employees. They have to do all those sorts of things. And we all know that frankly, folks are hurting a little bit right now. The economy is okay. It's good, but it's not great at the moment. So how would you respond to that, those costs that those trucking companies are going to have to bear, those additional costs?
Yeah, I think the market is changing and costs are coming down, and we expect that most heavy-duty vehicle classes, the total cost of ownership of an electric model will be less than a diesel model within a few years. So the upfront purchase price is still, of course, more, right? But then there are the savings from fueling and maintenance. And so the market is moving to the point where total cost of ownership should be lower within a few years. And then beyond that, hopefully costs can continue to come down so it becomes even more financially attractive for businesses to use this technology. And then, of course, on top of that, there are all the benefits to public health and air quality and climate change that the public enjoys from these investments.
And that trend is, you can see that the prices are coming down. It is going to take a little while, but it is the trend.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Terrassa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you,